guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. This video is going to be a little bit different. If this wasn't a video that I felt like God wanted me to film, I would not be filming it because yeah, it was one of those days. I spent like hours and hours and hours prepping and I still feel so nervous. Like, I have such a deep respect for people who do Christian content because like the warfare is real. Like, things that you wouldn't even consider that could go wrong goes wrong. Lord, I just pray this be a safe space, that whatever I say will be able to help someone, and that it would not be all about me, that it would just be about you, and I'll just keep you the main thing, main focus, Lord, main focus, main focus. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. Okay, y'all, so I guess from the title of this video, you could see what I am, gonna be talking about, and it's my testimony. And yeah, it's been a long time coming. I feel like I'm whispering because I don't want no one to help me. Okay, so I feel like I should probably bring you up to speed on my like the way I was raised. So I was raised in a Christian household, which is like the norm, because I was raised in Nassau, Bahamas. So yeah, I was raised in a Christian household, which is like the norm. I feel like I had a pretty good childhood. Like, I feel like my parents did a good job. My biological parents didn't marry, so I lived with my mom and my sister up until the age of 7, I would say. And then my mom got married and she married my stepdad, and I think I was 7 or 8, I can't remember, but yeah. And then we all moved in together, so it was my mommy, my sister, my stepdad, and me, so 4 people in the house. you know it's interesting because I think when people hear that, they immediately think, oh my goodness, like, what happened to, like, you weren't raised with your 2 biological parents? And I'm like, yeah, but like, my biological dad was in my life. Like, he wasn't, I didn't live with him, but I knew who he was. I would see him on the weekends, and so, or I would see him sometimes during the week. Like, I knew him, I saw him, and we had a relationship, and we still have a relationship. So anyways, so that was my life up until I came to London for uni. I want to talk about high school though. So primary school was cool. I don't really remember my relationship with God much in primary school, if I'm being honest. I mean, you go to church and then, like, yeah, that's, I don't remember. I think for me it became more like real in grade 8. I remember something happened in grade 8, bro. Now I look back and I'm like, that's the Holy Spirit. Like, I just remember I would like fall in love with these worship songs, and I'm like, bro, I don't know what is happening inside of me, but something in me just feels like it come alive when I would hear certain worship music, and I would just be crying in my room, and I would be like, oh my goodness, like, what is wrong with me? Like, what? I didn't have language for what I was going through. You go through high school. High school was funny though, because I feel like it was a few Christian girls in high school, and I was one of them, which was always like an interesting thing because you just feel like you in this box. When I came to college, because of my experience in high school and like how I see people would like treat Christians, when I came to college, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna be a Christian, yes, but let's not be, I just didn't want to feel excluded because of my faith. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. Not that even coming out my mouth, but like, it's the truth. That's how I felt. Like, I didn't want to be like excluded or like just not feel like I fit in. I guess I wanted to feel like I was a part of something. Anyway, so college though, uni is when everything became like more like solidified for me. And yeah, I feel like once you find like community, and like when you find other, like other Christians, like it's like chef's kisses. um so like yeah, like in uni, like we would have Bible studies together. So I went to this church and I absolutely loved this church, and I found people my age who were just like on fire for the Lord. Okay. um and yeah, like it was going good. Like, you know, I go to Bible study on Sundays, go to church on Sundays, hang out with my friends. um I would still go out though. I was never like a heavy drinker, and I don't drink anymore. So um alcohol was never like a thing. I think for me it was more like trying to like not feel too excluded, especially like working in fashion and like studying fashion. It's like you kind of want, like, I kind of was tempted with this like idea of being like a cool Christian. I wasn't tempted with the idea, bro. I fully ran with that idea. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be a Christian, but I'm gonna be a cool Christian. Which is crazy. We come into that. But yeah, so I think that was like my uni experience. It was like this tug of war between fully surrendered and like, but God, I still want to be cool. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to feel like I was being like excluded from something. Oh, I just want to say something about uni too. I honestly, having community with uni helped me a lot. And um even though like I had that internal battle of like wanting to be a cool Christian, but you know, like not like, you want to be a cool Christian, right? But then you feel like, oh, I have to give up this, I have to give up that. And for me, it wasn't even like, I was like, my God, I don't even have to give up like the big sins. People could like easily be like, oh yeah, I had to give up smoking and drinking and this and that and that. And we focus so much on the external sins that we forget that no, pride is still a thing. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes is still a thing. Like, it's still a sin. You know, it doesn't have to be like the big fornication, but pride is very much real, and pride was very much in my heart. Okay. So 2019 was the year that it changed everything for me. Okay, so in, I can't believe I'm doing this video. Jeez. Golly. How did I even get here? Oh, let's go back to how I got here in the first place. So I did a fast at the beginning of this year, and I was like, okay, Lord, like, I feel you telling me to like give me a full yes, like a full, like, hands open, right? And I was just like, okay, like, cool, I been said yes to you, like, what? But then I feel like that fast showed me that I didn't give God all of my life. Like, my career was very much still in my hands. I was in the driver's seat of my career, in the driver's seat of my YouTube channel, in the driver's seat of like everything that I treasured. I feel like I was like Lord over. And then I feel like God was saying like, yeah, you need to give it to me. Like, if you're gonna say yes to Jesus, fully surrendered, like a full yes. And girl, when I tell you that shattered me, like, I feel like God was saying like death to, like, almost like a death to self, like a death to autonomy. And I was just like, Lord, please, Jesus, I could give you everything. I could give you anything else, but my autonomy, like, I like, I pride myself on being independent, know what I want, and just going after it. And, you know, like having my own plans and just going after it. And I feel like God was saying, yeah, like, give it to me. And so that was hard, y'all. That was what I fasted for 21 days. So that was like on day, like in the middle of the fast, God just turned everything upside down. I was on this floor, this same floor that I'm sitting on, like weeping, like weeping. My hair is frizzy, ignore it. Like, I was weeping because it was just this thing of, it felt like a part of me died that day. Like, something in me felt like it was cut off. And And it was scary because I'm like, I've never done this before. And it also made me realize that I've never really given my full yes, which is crazy to think because I got saved when I was in high school. So I got saved when I was in high school, and I'm just giving him my full yes, what, 7 years later? Almost a decade later? Like, that's crazy. But it also showed me that you never stop growing in Jesus. Anyways, y'all, so that was that. So after, I was just like, okay, Lord, like, you have my full yes. Like, I trust you. I give it all to you. Everything, like, my life is yours, essentially. Like, that's what I was saying. Girl, he was like, bet. All right, bet. So, I came with the bus, minding my own business. I think I was like cleaning my shower or something. And I just got this sense that, like, you need to post a YouTube video. And I'm like, Monique, you tripping, you bugging. Like, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. And I was just like, YouTube video? Like, God, I would do anything else but that. And it wasn't because I was like ashamed of my faith. It was just because of like, bro, social media is a scary place, and you don't want to, well, I know for me, I ain't trying to be vulnerable on the internet. Like, what? And I feel like God was saying like, no, like, I want you to tell them about what I've brought you through. And I was like, oh, I know where this is going. Oh, I know where this is going. Jesus. Wow. And so yeah, here we are. Here we are. Um yeah, dang. It's funny because I was just like, Lord, I want to go to my grave with this. I don't want to talk about this. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like maybe there's someone on the other side of this camera who could like learn from, be encouraged by y'all. And I think the main goal of this video is just to be like, one, Jesus is real. 2, he still saves. And 3, he's still working, willing, and able to do it for you, not just for Monique, So 2019. So 2019, I graduated from uni. So I graduated in July. And so yeah, I graduated from July. I'm like, okay, cool, things are looking up. Finished fashion school, looking to get a job in London, actually get my career started. Cool. So I worked in London for a bit. I worked in London from July to October, and then October I went home, and that's when like my life was never the same. So I think I was home for like a month. Yeah, I think I was home for like not even a month. I was home for like 3 weeks before this event happened. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it together, y'all. I ain't trying to cry on the internet, Lord knows it. But if I do cry, just bear with me. So yeah. On November 30th, I woke up like 4 a.m. and my mommy called me into the front room. She's like, Monique, and I was just like, yes. And she's like, come here. And I was like, it's 4 a.m. So of course, I ain't thinking nothing of it. I was just like, what happened? Bro, sleepy Monique is grumpy. I'm so sorry. Jesus help me. I was just like, what happened? She's like, just come. And I was just like, okay. So I literally hop on my bed, ran down the hallway, and I saw my stepdad. He was having a heart attack. And so of course, like, you sleepy, but that woke me up. Like, I was like, okay, what do I do? So I just ran, called 911. Not ran, but I ran to the phone, called 911. I was on the phone talking to the ambulance lady, and she was like kind of like walking me through like what to do. And you know, like you going through this, but like you don't actually. It's weird. Like I look back and I think what was going through my head, but you're not thinking. You just trying to like. It's almost like fight or flight, like adrenaline just pumping through your body, and you just like, okay, okay, let's do this, blah blah blah. And so talking to the people, and you know, they tell you like what to do, is you responsive, like what's going on, blah blah blah. Anyways, do everything they tell me to do, and they were just like, okay, like we're on our way. Y'all listen, that was the longest wait of my life. Like, it's 4 a.m, bro. You know, traffic on the road, what taking the ambulance so long, you know what I mean? And so I kept calling like, hi. And bear in mind, this is 911. So every time you call an operator, like, you're not guaranteed to get the same person. But I call them so much, that person, whoever kept picking up the phone, they knew my voice. I was like, yeah, it's me again, you know, still waiting, blah, blah, blah. Did he get lost? Anyways, did the driver get lost? Long story short, I don't want to go into too much detail because that's very traumatic, and I don't want to like stir up anything. And also, like, I want to be sensitive to, you know, my family who might be watching this video. So yeah, the ambulance came, and they was just like, I'm so sorry for your loss, like he's not responsive. And I'm like, not responsive, like check again. Check again, because I refuse to believe what you're telling me right now. Anyways, so yeah, he was just the guy, the ambulance man, the ambulance man, the first responders. They were just like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, my condolences, blah blah blah. And y'all, at this time, it's still not registering to me what happened. Like, it's still not like, it was very weird. And I just remember feeling like this overwhelming sense of like peace. And the only way I could describe it is like, you feel this peace of like, wow, I feel like I'm in church right now. Like, that's how the feeling was kin to being in church. Like, when I'm in church and worship music is on, and like I feel the presence of God, that is how I felt in my living room that morning. And I was just like, so I look at my mommy, and I was just like, mommy, why do I feel like, sorry, a fly. I was like, mommy, like, why do I feel like the presence of God right now, but like I'm staring at a deceased body? Like, what? Like, or a lifeless body that they just pronounce, you know? And so she was just like, yeah, like, you know, we were shocked. I think I was in a state of shock as well. Like, I'll be honest, it didn't settle. Like, I didn't come down from the adrenaline at this point. Anyways, so, you know, they kind of like tell you what to do. Family members start coming. And then when the, when, what's it called? Like, those people who come to collect like the body. Oh my goodness. So there was two guys, and you know, like when people come into your house, you know, you have to be like hospitable. So I'm offering people drinks. Do you want anything? Blah blah blah, you know, talking. Bear in mind, I ain't shed a tear yet because it ain't hit me. Like, I'm so shocked. I'm just focusing on entertaining the, not entertaining the guests, but like trying to like be accommodating. And I remember the guy from the funeral home, he was like, is this your dad? And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh wow, you're very calm. Girl, what he said that for? Because when they were just like, okay, like, you know, we're gonna put the body in the body bag, I was like, I remember that's when I broke. I was just like, ah, did I just you know, like I just couldn't believe it. And so I just told him, I was like, do you have to do it inside the house? He was like, yeah, like we have to do it inside the house. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I can't watch it, so I'm just gonna go in the kitchen. And I remember me just like, I went to my knees and I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, I just, I couldn't believe what I just witnessed. Like, it made it more real. It made it more real when you had them air out the body bag and, like, you know, put him in. I couldn't watch it. So I just went in the kitchen and, um, yeah. I went in the kitchen. I just remember, like, stooping down, like, what? That was real? Like, all of this is real? And I just remember thinking, like, I just want to go back to sleep. Like, maybe if I go back to sleep, then, like, none of this will be real, you know? Because mommy wake me up at 4 a.m. That's what I was thinking. I was like, if I go back to sleep, then none of this will be real and it'll all be okay. Anyways, so this was about like 7 a.m. So the sun is up at this point, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. You know, people start, news spread like wildfire. People start coming to the house. And I was just like, oh my goodness, it's real. And I remember it was a point where it hit me and the house is full of people. And I just go to my room and it was me and my uncle. And I was just like, did I just watch someone slip away? Like, you know, like after I came down off that adrenaline high, and he was just like, I remember my uncle telling me, like, cry, like, just let it out because, bro, my uncle, he ain't easy. He literally told me, he said, cry because it ain't get easier. I was like, that's anything you tell me right now, mister. Nah, I love my uncle. He was just like, he said you have to cry because, you know, it's not gonna be easy. And yeah, we both on my room floor. Me and my uncle just was like crying, whilst everyone in the front room, you know, all the guests coming to the house, people like, what's going on, blah blah blah. Oh, guys, my makeup. I don't know why I wear makeup in this video. Like, I play myself. Anyways, so you know, you go through the motions of funeral planning and everything, and I remember this was November, right? So this was only a couple months since I graduated university. And I remember sitting in the funeral home and I was like, I never thought I would be planning a funeral. Like, I supposed to be, you know, like my first job from university. Like, I supposed to be living that fresh grad life, you know, like maybe get a house with my friends, like get a house to like a house share, you know, like I was, all my friends are like either doing their masters or finishing up their degree, traveling, and I'm planning a funeral. Like, God, you gotta be kidding me. Like, bro, someone this wasn't in the plan. This wasn't in the book. Like, my book must get swapped out with somebody else's book because this wasn't supposed to be my story. Anyway, or maybe it was. I don't know. Look at us. We here now. So anyway, so I just remember thinking that in the funeral home, in the funerals director's office, I literally sat back in the chair and just dazed around the room like, wow, this is happening. Anyways, fast forward 2020, the pandemic hit, COVID hit, and the world is shut down. So I had no choice but to sit in my grief. And that was an interesting time. It was new, because of course, you know, like growing up with 4 people in the house, when one person isn't in the house, you feel it. And also, like, I was home for the first time in like 4 years, so it was just a lot happening. But what I did like about COVID is COVID made it okay to talk about feelings and like grief, so I didn't feel so isolated. I knew 2020 was going to be hard for me, whether the pandemic came or not. I just know 2020 is just going to be the first year um without, you know, this person who raised me. Like, oh my goodness, I feel like, yeah, he taught me everything I knew about how to be treated by a man, like just everything a girl would want in a father. Like he was that and more. And I'm so grateful that I got to spend, yeah, more than half of my life with him. It's crazy because when I first started my channel, I was just like, oh, I really want a camera, but of course I couldn't afford no camera. I was in uni. And so he was like, how much did you save up? And he's like, okay, how much did you save up? And that's how I got my camera. This phone stand, he bought it. He got it for me. My camera, same. Like he was so supportive of my channel. Anyways, so end of 2020 I came back to London. And I feel like that was when it became, it was all, my grief was always real, but oof, girl, listen to me. I need to take several deep breaths because grief is a monster. And I remember feeling like the only way for me to survive this grief is to suppress it. And maybe if I suppress it, then it wouldn't eat me alive. Like maybe if I suppress it, then I could manage it, right? That's what I was telling myself. Like, okay, Winnie, just manage your grief. But then I realized I was just suppressing it. Anyways, so a lot of things was happening, and um, uh, I just had a breaking point. Yeah, a lot happened in that 1 year, and I feel like the turning point for me was when I just let it all go, like let go of this idea of this life that I had. Like I was just like, God, I remember being so cynical about everything at the end of 2020. Like I was like, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't care about this, I don't care about that. Like I remember telling my phone, like I don't want it. I remember telling my friend on the phone, sorry, not telling my phone. I remember telling my friend on the phone, like I don't want to get married anymore. Like I was just like, he was supposed to walk me down the aisle. I don't want to get married. I don't want to date. Like I didn't want to do anything. I was just like, if you search up auntie in the dictionary, you would see Wilnique's face next to auntie. I was anti everything because I was just like, what is life? Like what is life? What are we doing all of this for? Because you could lose it like that. So fast forward to my bedroom. There was a night in my bedroom, and this had to been like October 2020, bro, or 2021. I'm confusing my years, y'all, but I was in my room, and I just went through weeks of just weeping, like weeping and wait. Listen, when I say I was so weepy, I don't even know if that's a word, but I was so weepy. And because I was like, okay, Lord, I'm not gonna suppress it anymore. Like I'm just gonna let it out. I'm just gonna let it out. And I would spend hours weeping that my stomach would be sore afterwards. Within the whole season, I started having like dreams, and I told God, like at the beginning of the year, I was just like, okay, Lord, if you want to talk to me through my dreams, I'm gonna write it down, no matter how silly it is. And I started doing that, and then they started to get serious, and then they started coming true. So I remember I had this one dream, and in the dream I was talking to this girl, and I was just venting to her. And I found it strange because I don't just vent to people who I'm not that close to, especially about something so sensitive like trauma and death, you know, death of a parent at that. um and when I woke up, I was like, God, what are you saying? And so I messaged her, and I was like, hey girl, I had this dream, and I was venting to you about something, and I was asking you for help. But you know, I didn't really know her that well. Like we went to the same church, but that was it. I didn't know her. I didn't know what she did for a living. I didn't know her personal life. I saw her on Sundays, and that was it. And then she was like, oh, hi Monique, like, you know, um my profession, sorry, my camera decided to cut off. But she said that, hi Monique, yeah, I am actually a therapist. And I was like, what? Mind you, I felt like God was telling me like, we'll need go to therapy. Like, we'll need go to therapy. We'll need go to therapy. And I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna get around. Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna get around to it. And so it was just so funny that I had a dream venting to this girl who I didn't even know was a therapist. Anyways, so I asked her, I was just like, okay, well, do you recommend any therapists? And then she gave me like a short list of everyone who she would recommend. And she recommended this therapist. I signed up for the therapist. And yeah, I started going to therapy. And therapy was great. I loved therapy. I loved my therapist because she was amazing. But I would say therapy alone did not get me to where I am now. Like, it was a great tool, but it didn't heal me, if that makes sense. Like, I still needed to meet with the healer. It's almost like therapy gave me language for everything I was experiencing. It validated everything I was experiencing. Because this wasn't something that like I could talk to my friends about. This was the first time in my life where it was hard for me to like vent. And they were great listening ears. Like, oh my goodness, they were great listening ears, but I needed someone who could actually walk me through it. She gave me language, and she like unveiled everything that I was struggling to explain, and then I would take that to God in prayer. So I'd be like, okay, Lord, this is what it is. Please help me. So it's like therapy and Jesus worked hand in hand. So now we're fast forward to 2021. I'm in therapy. A lot is going on. A lot of like family dynamics are changing. And it's weird because at this point I'm not home anymore. I'm back in London doing postgrad. Sorry, my legs are crumbling. So I feel a little bit like removed from my family, and that was hard too. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on, and I just remember just carrying this like weight and burden. And my therapist was just like, Monique, you carry a lot. Like, you carry a lot. And I was just like, I'm so tired of crying. Like, I just remember telling her, like, I'm so tired of crying. Like, what's the point of crying? Like, it doesn't change anything. It's not going to bring it back to life. Like, I'm just tired of crying. And I remember telling her, like, oh my goodness, like, I'm already labeled as the sensitive one in my family. Look at me. I'm about to cry. But I just remember telling my therapist, like, I just want to I don't want to cry anymore. Like, I'm tired of crying. And I just remember my therapist telling me, like, Monique, crying is actually healthy. She was like, people who don't cry end up sick in the hospital. And she was like, notice, people who don't cry, it's like the trauma manifests in different ways. And I'm like, that's so true. Like, that's so true. Like, people who hold in their emotions, it comes out in different ways. And so maybe I should just embrace this teary eyes season that I'm in. Anyway, so I just was like, okay, bet. So yeah, I went on a journey of just like letting it all out. And y'all, I was carrying so much. I felt like my grief was like in layers. Like, it was like you grieve the person, of course. You grieve the person. You grieve who you was before the person passed away, because I was like, this is a new Wilnique that I don't even know. You grieve who your family members were before the person passed away, because everyone has changed. Everyone is a new person. Like, no one is ever the same. And so you're learning new people. Like, you're learning people's grieving process. You're just relearning everything. And it's a lot. It's chaotic. Everyone is sensitive. So of course, like with that, family dynamics are gonna be a big thing. And then on top of that, like, I never like work through the effects of seeing like a person slip into eternity. You know what I mean? Because I was just trying to cope. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I think I was just trying to cope. Anyway, so I remember it was this one day I went into therapy and I was just like, oh my goodness, that did happen. Like it was like the coin fell for me. And this was a year later, y'all. I was like, dang, like that was my dad in the casket. Like, because I think going through it, I was just like, you know, Monique, it's just a body. It's just a body. It's not that deep. But now I'm just like, nah, it is that deep. Like, no. So I think that's when I started to accept it. And, you know, acceptance, you know, you go through the stages of grief and you always want to be like, okay, I want to get to acceptance. But when you get to acceptance, it's still very sad because it's like, this is, you know, reality, and nothing you do can change it. No amount of money, no status, no reputation, nothing can change it. You just have to live with this. And that could feel deadly in and of itself. And so yeah, I remember going through summer. I don't know, I was so stressed and I was so like, I think I was still very much traumatized that like my body just was like, my body was not functioning the way that it should have been. Let me just say that. Which was scary, because that's never happened to me before. So my body was just out of whack. And so I remember my therapist telling me like, Monique, what you suppress, the body express. So you've been trying to suppress all of this for all these months, and now your body is actually like reacting to it. And so if you don't like start expressing your feelings, then your body is going to do more dramatic things to get your attention. So you think this is scary now, but like it's just, your body's just gonna like get more and more like, you know, not, she didn't say ill, but she was just like, the body is going to do, it's gonna be more like dramatic to try and just get your attention, to be like, hey, something is wrong, you need to address it. And that also taught me that trauma, the body literally carries trauma. Like, it's not just an emotional thing, it manifests in physical ways. Anyways, I learned so much about trauma, y'all. Oh. And so fast forward, I feel like I'm rambling on. Oh, Jesus help me. Fast forward to end of 2021, I would say. Bro, I don't know when, I don't have like a particular moment where it was just like, oh wow, the Lord met me and it was all peaches and creams from that day forward. But I would say it was gradual. It was moments of like weeping and wailing on my bed that I felt like God, I just felt like peace, and I felt seen. Like I felt like my room would just be filled with this comfort and joy and this sense of like, oh, I'm actually not gonna die in this. And it sounds dramatic, but y'all, when you're going through that, listen, you don't know. Sometimes it's just like, well, Jesus, Lord, I still have soul, you know, but like you don't know. You just question everything. But yeah, I was just like, okay, like, but gradually I feel like God was just like meeting me at that place of just sorrow, like deep sorrow. And that's when I learned Jesus as suffering savior Jesus, not just, you know, the happy-go-lucky Jesus that they tried to sell us. Like, no, like the Jesus who actually carried his cross and wept with people and was moved by compassion with people, for people, sorry. And the Jesus who like heal, like who would come and sit with you. And yeah, like Emmanuel, like God with us, you know, I felt like God was with me in the sorrow. Like he didn't take me out of the sea of sorrow, but he came and sat in the sorrow with me, and we had communion, and it was beautiful. Of course, you don't want to feel sorrow. Nobody wants to feel it. But it's just something special when you just feel the presence of God just come and sit with you and weep with you. Like, and so that was happening to me a lot, y'all. Like, I remember I would have these encounters with God, and I thought I was going crazy. I didn't even lie to you. I would be in my bed and I would just have like these crazy, crazy encounters. And let me tell you how I know I wasn't tripping, because I watched this pastor, and she said the same thing was happening to her, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm not crazy. And yeah, I was like, God, you're with me. Like, I felt so seen. I felt so special. I felt heard. I felt like I wasn't alone. I felt like it wasn't punishment that all of this was happening, and that I experienced all of this. I just felt like, wow, I'm still loved. Like, I'm not being punished. I'm not being like forsaken. I'm loved. I'm seen. And my prayers are being heard. And I still have a Heavenly Father who cares for me so deeply, like so deeply. And I just remember being grateful. And so that was weeks and weeks and weeks. And, day by day, God would just give me strength. And He would send people along too to just walk with me. And yeah, through that season of like deep, deep, deep grief. And the presence of God for me was so healing, y'all, because I feel like it gave me like an eternal mindset. Like, oh wow, the afterlife, like heaven is real. Like, like there is something more than just what we see. There's a different realm than just the earthly realm. And when I experience the presence of God and just experience like that deep peace and love in the thick of grief, I'm like, wow, like, is this what heaven is like? Like, is heaven just this peaceful? Because, jeez, sign me up. Like, I was legit thinking, like, wow, this is like the peace I'm feeling right now, Lord. Wow, like the peace and the joy and the fullness that I'm feeling in my room right now. It's just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And you know what I love, y'all? It wasn't a fancy room. Like, that's what I love about the Lord. Like, you don't have to have a fancy place for Him to come in and sit with you. He would come in and sit with you, whether your room is a mess, whether you depressed and grieving and, don't want to be bothered. Like, He would come and sit with you. And listen, He sat with me. And I just feel like it just developed a sense of intimacy that I still glean from this day to this day. And so fast forward to 2022. I don't know, I guess 2022. So that was the end of 2021. So have these encounters, but I don't know if I ever realized when I came out of grief or came out of like a deep state of grief, because it was so gradual. But I think it was like 2022 when it was just like, I just remember just feeling like deep gratitude and just being like, God, you saved my life. Like, I was like, God, I don't ever want to. I remember telling him, like, God, I would tell everyone who you're gonna say. I'm gonna tell everyone how you saved my life, but please, Jesus, don't make me talk about the traumatic situation. Like, God, I don't wanna talk about it. Like, I don't, you know. And y'all, it's 2023, and it's only now that I'm talking about it, the whole event, and it's so funny because literally just a couple weeks ago, my friends, bear in mind, these are like my closest friends in London, and they just found out. They just found out about, me being there when my dad passed away and all of that. But it was just so like tender. Like, I didn't know like how to bring it up to people. It's not something you just blabber out, right? But I just now in this current state in 2023, I feel so blessed that grief did not take me out. Listen, oh, that made me cry right there, because there are times I did not know, like I didn't know if I would, I didn't know like if I would like make it, you know, like I didn't know like if I would like, or if I made it, I just didn't know if I would ever be myself again. Like I don't know. I wasn't sure. Anyways, but I was just thinking the other day, I was like, God, I'm so grateful because like you stepped in it with me. And man, I don't know when you healed my heart, Lord, but you did. You know, I don't know when you gave me like a new heart. Not a heart that doesn't feel grief, but a heart that knows that grief isn't the final say. Like a heart that knows that there is a life after grief. You know, a heart that knows that, yeah, you could witness something so traumatic as seeing someone slip into eternity, but like a heart that knows that um to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And I don't know, a heart that experiences joy again, like a heart that smiles. And yeah, I still have like my moments and my times. Like I even think y'all sent it on in that video I put out in December or January, I can't remember, but just talking about like how I wasn't feeling that good, and it was just maybe grief, you know. So you never really get over it, of course, but I'm just grateful that my heart is full and I could experience the fullness of life again. My life is completely different. It won't ever be the same. You know, I just accepted that. But it doesn't mean that I can't experience fullness. It doesn't mean that I can't experience joy and peace and, you know, all that God has for me. And experience Jesus, you know, just experience him as like my friend, someone who, like a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Ah, yes, that is Jesus to me. Like that's who he is to me. Like I'm just grateful, and I hope that, you know, someone could get something from this video. I know I'm all up in your face, so sorry girl. I'm literally like on the floor because listen, we in my bedroom right now, we just having a conversation. But yeah, like I know this is a cliche saying, but trouble don't last always. It's true. And wow, I could genuinely smile again. Like my eyes have life in them. My body is heat. Like I just feel free, you know, like I don't, my body works how it's meant to work. I'm not sick. um I have energy, you know, my relationships with my mommy and my biological daddy is great. And God, like everything that I was like stressing about or concerned about or didn't know, or like even, I even remember thinking, Lord, I am so broken. I don't even know if I have anything to give. That I remember, like I remember even telling my friend, like, I'm so sorry, like I feel like such a terrible friend, like because it was months where I just wasn't feeling like myself, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, I feel like I've just been a terrible friend and I have nothing to give, and I just feel like, what do I have to give of value, you know? And she was so like kind to me. She's like, well, Nick, like, you know, it's fine. um, like have some grace on yourself, girl. Like you just lose your whole dad. Like just give yourself some grace. But that's how like I was in the ringer, y'all. And that's why you can't believe social media, because social media never saw any of that. Like it was only close friends and family. And now I'm just like, wow, I feel like I have so much to give because God has given me so much. And so now I'm just like living on overflow. And I have beautiful friends in my life. they have just been calling me out of the shadows, saying like, Willie, there is so much in you. Like, there's so much in you. And yeah. And so funny enough, I didn't tell my friends I'm gonna do this video because I didn't. I was scared, yo. I still am scared, but I don't know. I think my heart for this video is just to like, maybe if someone is grieving, or it doesn't even have to be like you seeing anyone pass. It doesn't have to be my story in particular. It could just be anything. To know that like Jesus saves, he heals, like he's touched with the feelings of our infirmities, like he empathizes with us, and like he's personal and he's real. Like, bro, Jesus is so real. Like, his Holy Spirit is so real. And yeah, like he's so faithful. And listen, when you think you don't have nothing left to give, or like when you think like you don't have nothing else, like he would just come in and make something out of nothing. Like he would come in and make something out of nothing, and that's what he's been doing for me. So I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to like end this video. I listen, like all I could say is God is so faithful. He's so patient with me too, and he loves each and every one of you watching this video, whether you're Christian or not. And I would just encourage everyone watching this, like, get vulnerable before the Lord. Like, don't be afraid. I mean, for me, I didn't have a choice. It was either you get vulnerable or you get sick, because my body was just absorbing all of the grief that I wasn't releasing. So, but don't wait. Like, don't wait until you get to the point of being physically sick. Like, if you're going through something, let it out. Talk to someone, cry, weep, pray. Like, don't let your body break down, you know, because then that creates a whole other set of issues. And now you emotionally sick and you physically sick, and nobody wins from that. So just before I get to that point, don't. And then pray, cry out to the Lord, and listen, he hears the cries of his people. He hears the cries of his people. I feel like I'm rambling now, so I'm gonna close this video. But I hope I didn't miss anything, y'all. I didn't write any notes, so I don't know. I don't know if anything I said made any sense, but I just hope that people get that Jesus is enough, y'all. Like, he satisfies the longing soul. He's enough. Like, oh, and you could just rest in the sufficiency of Christ. Oh, yes, like he'll fill you from the inside out, girl, and out of your belly would flow rivers of living water. Like, rivers. Like, what? Imagine that. Imagine you just being like a well of life springing out of you. Your whole world will be different. Wow, this world has nothing for us. Anyways, God is so good. Good is an understatement. I don't even like to say God is good anymore. God is so much more than good. But I hope this video bless someone, help someone, and I hopefully didn't like trigger anyone. But yeah, that's basically my testimony and how Jesus saved my life. Yes, Lord. I feel like I could just weep right now. Okay, before that happens, I'm just gonna close the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.